I just have one question. Can someone please explain to me how the director of Mrs. Miniver and The Best Years of Our Lives did this? Gone with the Wind, eat your heart out. This is the biggest movie of all time. Or at least it was when it was made. Ben Hur was directed by William Wyler and it stars Charlton Heston as Judah Ben Hur, a Jewish prince living in Jerusalem under the tyrannical occupation of the Roman Empire. During the 3.5-hour runtime, we follow his story. From his exile to slavery by his childhood friend turned power-hungry Roman commander Masala, his miraculous escape, his rise in Rome, his return to Jerusalem, and lastly, his climactic showdown with Masala in the Chariot race. Oh, and a certain young man who was born in Bethlehem also plays a part. Calling this film big is an understatement. It was the most expensive film ever made at the time. It had the largest sets ever built, the most amount of extras, the largest crew, the longest score ever composed. The list goes on. The size of the film matched the size of its success. It was the second highest grossing film of all time behind Gone with the Wind. And of course, it broke all the Academy records, winning a whopping 11 Oscars, a record that still stands today. There's nothing I can say about this movie that can do it justice. It has to be seen to be believed. Gone with the Wind was big, definitely, but Ben Hur is the first Best Picture winner that could legitimately be described as epic. The sweeping scale, the soaring music, the enormity of it all. They truly don't make films like this anymore. Taking a closer look, Charlton Heston is legendary. This actor had an aura to him. He had a way of performing that emphasized the majesty and the grandeur of the larger-than-life stories his characters were a part of. And Judah Ben Hur is no exception, being a larger-than-life character himself. He's a wealthy prince, and after saving a Roman consul, he's honored and adored in Rome, as symbolized by the ring the consul gives him. But he's also a Jew, a member of an oppressed people, enslaved and persecuted, as symbolized by the ring that Esther, the woman he loves, gives him. Judah Ben Hur is the bridge between the two worlds. The relationship between Ben Hur and Masala is similar to the relationship between Moses and Ramses, so it's fitting that Heston played both Ben Hur and Moses. Judah is motivated and driven towards a single purpose: to make Masala, his old childhood friend, pay for the suffering he's inflicted upon him, his family, and his people. These are very simple emotions that are easy to relate to. The story is just so timeless. It's a movie that still works today for that reason. The only thing about the film that has aged rather poorly are all the regular dialogue scenes. That's the one thing that drags the film down a bit for me. The smaller scenes, when it's just two people talking, feel long and stagnant, and I wish they could have trimmed a few of them just a tad. That's my sole gripe with the film. But of course, whenever the movie goes all out and attempts to floor you with its visuals, it's amazing. The large sets and the huge number of extras are a sight to behold. You just sit back and marvel at it. It's so impressive, especially for the time. The set pieces are some of the best ever. The slave ship scene was epic and intense. You bite your nails as you wait and see if Judah will be able to get out of this dangerous situation. But the grand highlight of the film has to be the chariot race sequence. One of the greatest action scenes in movie history. The speed, the cinematography, the frantic editing, the adrenaline, the incredibly horrifying stunts and special effects. On pure thrill levels, this scene alone beats almost everything modern-day superhero movies throw at you. And this was made in the 50s. This scene was, and arguably still is, the epitome of cinema. Last, but certainly not least, I'd like to touch on how Jesus is portrayed in the film. He's a background character. We never see his face, but the effect he has on the film is undeniable. Jesus is treated with such reverence and awe. The way the characters talk about him and react to him when he's present, it's magical.
Perhaps he's a shepherd, a merchant, a fisherman. But he lives, and all our lives from now on will carry his mark.
I think the film handles his character and his story very well. We see how his words and ultimately his death impact and influence our heroes. It's a very big part of Judah's character arc, especially near the end, and his sacrifice leads to a very emotional ending to the film. I can talk about this film for hours, but I'll stop here. Ben Hur is an incredible achievement in filmmaking. It might be a bit too long, and there are some elements that have aged rather poorly, but as a whole, the positives far outweigh the negatives here. In a word, Ben Hur is simply magnificent. Now you might assume that after all the compliments I gave the film that I'd rank it at number 1, but it's actually 4th. But if you think it's better than the top 3, I wouldn't argue with you. The best of the Best Picture winners are all incredible, and it doesn't really matter in what order you place them. This is just my order. I love all of these films and I recommend that you check them all out. Up next is the 33rd Best Picture winner, one of my personal favorites, a sharp, witty, and endearing romantic comedy from the director of The Lost Weekend, The Apartment. Check back tomorrow for the next video of DB Review's Oscar Madness Marathon and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss a thing. Thank you all very much and let the journey continue.